for the very later.
There's the timer. What up, everybody? It's the Core Room. It's deeper than rap. Happy to be here. Shout out to everybody who's listening, subscribing to the podcast. We just had a great conversation behind the scenes, you know.
We did.
We just had a great conversation. Shout out to StreamYard. Shout out to StreamYard. I'm gonna be talking to y'all a little later about this thing, but it's okay. So listen, before we get started, just let you know, Deep in the Rap is basically a show that we have heavy topics versus the regular Core Room that has lighter topics, right? So behind the scenes, we were talking about music. Is it really the same anymore? Right? So we had a couple of good topics, right? I mean, a couple of good things we were talking about. Basically talking about, what music is now versus what it was back then. And we were talking about things like the streaming platforms that we have that are basically things that we pay for $9.99 every month to get, and it's just all these songs packed into one versus taking music. We used to have the artwork. We used to read the artwork, read the topics and everything, and we had some good points about that. Now Trim was talking about how basically the artwork or the experience in music is missing.
Let me share a story with that, man, because since we're doing this now, I get to go a little bit deeper and share my story with
okay
you. So for the holidays, shout out to Tino. He hooked me up and he gave me a vinyl of Purple Rain by my boy Prince. Everybody know I like Prince. He gave me the vinyl, the actual vinyl album for it. And so I got it. The moment I had it in my hands, I haven't even opened it up yet. I turned on the back of it. It's got the lyrics to When Doves Cry written all on the back of it. From like everything, all the whole lyrics. So I got this album also as a CD, but I didn't have that same thing what I had right there. I opened it up. There's a fold-out poster of Prince, Revolution, and everything, and just like a picture, like I had in the video with the eyes and the tear crying for When Doves Cry. But I pull out the actual vinyl itself. It's like it was detailed up into that. It's like the album is like a misty type purple. It's like you can like smoky purple on the album. I'm like, that was an experience.
Right.
I don't feel now in today's music landscape like I don't get that. And I feel like now, since I was growing up, seeing what that was like and listening to music now, to me, something's missing into the experience of music. I don't think that's around anymore.
So young people, listen. This is not a bash, right? Because there are some, I want you to understand that there's a lot of great things going on right now in today's music. We just want to have a deeper discussion about, older music versus newer music. And, what I'm saying, like, just kind of share with you, because guess what? Y'all not going to experience this again. At all. Because the powers that be, the way it's structured, it's really, everything is like a funnel of music. It's like they just drop it down this funnel, and it goes to, like, certain songs will go to you, and you won't be able to hear, like, you might not be able to experience music in a wide range the way it used to be. But I know behind the scenes we were talking about, I know Jazz, Walt, and Trem was sharing experiences with your families, how we used to gather together, listen to music, go on trips, which, I mean, I'm sure you probably go on trips, listen to music now. Cookouts, right. So, but the actual experience of music, the way the memories of music are lacking. You know, at least I would say for now. Well, for me anyway, and I think we all say that the memories are not the same anymore, right? It's like we don't have like. Remember, it was a time where remember, like we used to have that feeling like we knew like that new artist was coming out. Mm-hmm. And I mean, maybe young people still have that, but I mean, you know, it was a time where we knew like that new artist was coming out. We were very happy to go and purchase that music. You know what I'm saying? Go to the store and purchase.
You're looking forward to that day, man. You be counting the days down when it come out.
So now that you have streaming, you have like social media, like the streaming aspect. I don't know, and you can comment below and let us know. I don't know if that experience is there because you have access to social media now, right? That you know, you can get access to your favorite artists. Like you can hear the music like right then and there. Like they might give you a sneak peek of like music to come, right? Or they might give you
similar artists that you might listen to,
right?
Based on that. But I got like a thing on that one as well too. Like, so I like that, you know, there's some good and some bad things as far as with streaming with it. I mean, it's dope that you can hear it, like you can have like everything in one collection and everything. You don't have to like switch out like a CD or a tape to a different other artist. It's all right there, you can stream. But the thing I realized, and I was like digging back, like I was listening to like some of Stevie Wonder's catalog, and I realized that all his catalog's not on the platform. Like there's some actual music that's actually missing on there.
Yeah, you know what I noticed? Cause like, okay, this is probably, y'all probably gonna be like, who even listens to her? But like, Kelly Price, her Mirror Mirror album. I love that album. I downloaded the album onto my phone. I know I had the album on my phone. Listen to it repeatedly, and something one day, like randomly, I'll just want to listen to certain albums. And I was like, oh, let me go listen to it. And the album was no longer there. And I know it was downloaded. And it was kind of like grayed out. Like it was on my phone, that too. But it's like grayed out. Like I can't, and it's like, you can't. And I'm just like I don't understand why they do it. But that's not the first time I've seen that happen.
There's a few times I've seen that too.
I've heard this happen. And what's happening a lot of times, it's the record labels. I've heard that it's petty things that the record label does, that they'll take, like if they're having a dispute with you, they will take down the record off of the platform, and until that dispute is settled, they won't put it back on there. If you go back, it might be back on there. Like they might take it down.
It's grayed out. Like it's so grayed out. I'm sorry, but like,
or it might be some sampling disputes somewhere. Some publishing disputes there.
De La Soul was dealing with that. You know, they couldn't stream none of that music, that first album.
Right. So let me get back, because I know, listen, just to let y'all know, we thought we was recording, and it wasn't recording.
And it was so good, you guys.
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, you know, maybe we were just catching up, but it's all good. Man. You know, but so just kind of going back into the conversation, and we'll move it forward. Our childhood. I wanted everybody to hear that, because I think it's important for people to understand. Now, we don't have to give the full ones that we did before. Y'all can give another.
I got some more, man. I mean, like I told you, like I grew up with listening to music. I mean, granted, my introduction to it was always with my parents and everything, but I can always just relate it back to like as I grew up older and everything, and just how it's grown with me as well. So there was times like me and my brother, we would just go riding and just listen to a whole bunch of different music, and it'll be like a bunch of just music we would just put in the CD changer, and just, you know, he'll put some stuff in there that I hadn't heard before.
CD changer.
Yeah, and I'll put some stuff in there. I had some stuff in there that, you know, I was just riding to a gym to. And this I remember, I don't know if you guys, I'm pretty sure everybody know about you. You know, y'all guys know who Jamiroquai is, right?
Yeah. I've heard of him.
So he's dope. If you haven't heard any of Jamiroquai's music, he's real dope. But we were just riding out, and this is a time where it just gave us a chance to where we just listened to like a good amount of his music and just was vibing and just really getting a feel for, you know, what he like, how dope of an artist he is. And I guess now, even in this current climate, like I kind of take, you know, me and my daughter, we go riding. She has to go riding all the time, and it just be stuff that we would just put stuff on. I mean, we got our phones now. I just play some different music and just let her listen to stuff that she hasn't listened to. But it's just a way of doing where you can connect and just really feel music now. It's like, but like I said, it's something I just still take part of me, and that's just helped me to be the person who I am.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm gonna tell you one that. Listen, I'm a married man now, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I went on a trip. It was a trip to Albany, upstate. I'm from New York, so I went upstate Albany. I was there because I had some good grades that year, and I was invited.
Not that year.
That year.
That one time.
Yeah, right. So I was invited to go to Albany just on a retreat to like listen to some people speak and everything, right? So this program paid for me to go up there. So I went up there. I had Tupac's "Me Against the World" with me. That's my first CD. And I remember going up there. The CD skipped. Like every bump, it was skipping. I was like, oh man. So in this program that I was in, that paid for me to go up there, there's also a Brooklyn sector to this. So I lived in Hempstead, but it was a Brooklyn part of the program too. So a girl was invited to come on the trip. So, you know, I don't listen. When I got music on, I don't pay attention to nobody. So I'm sitting there vibing, like, you know, Me Against the World. Everybody who's a hip hop head know that's probably one of the Pac's best albums. Mm-hmm. And as I'm bopping my head up, I look to my left, and this girl is staring me in the face, like, I'm like, yo.
Can I help you? Can I help you?
Like, what's going on here? May I help you? She's like, what are you listening to? I was like, I'm listening, you know, Pac "Me Against the World," right? So she was like, okay. So I put my headphones on. So she says, tap you on my shoulder. I said, listen.
Man, rude.
Right. So she said, can I listen to it?
No.
Now here's the thing. Now hold up though, because I would have said no, but I looked at it again. Now you ever been on like a Greyhound bus, and you like it's dark, but you know the dim lights. I really couldn't see her, so I looked at her. I said, "Yeah, you can listen."
I'm about to ask you.
Yeah, I said, "Yeah, you can listen." So I literally stretched my headphones, and we shared the headphones. You know, on the ride, like I went all the way like to the beginning, and we listened to it. Now, if you've ever drove from New York to Albany, that's a long trip. Mm-hmm. We listened to "Me Against the World" twice.
Wow, the whole album,
twice. We like by the time we got up there, it was probably like halfway, almost to the end again. But yeah, that was, you know, that's just one of those things I shared. You know, we just vibing with one headphone, and it was skipping, like hitting the bumps, but you know, it was just it was a good experience though. We had fun, but yeah, that's one of my experiences. Walt, what you got? You got another one for me?
One of my experiences, it's got to be like when me and my siblings would watch movies. Like when we would watch movies, and after, you know, the Temptations, Jackson 5, American Dream, the 5 Heartbeats, What's Love Got to Do with It. Like we would watch them, and the thing is, like, you know, I'm one of 6, so there's probably like 4 of us that are like all within like 2 or 3 years of each other. So when we would watch them, we get up and we would perform. Like, go ahead, all right, I'm a David. No, you was David last time. Like, I'm just like, so, and then I'm saying like that's something that we would do from Scrubs, and then we would just watch movies that would have the songs in them, like Spike Lee joints, like Crooklyn. And
classic.
Don't mention Crooklyn. Don't mention
that's classic, man.
Don't mention Crooklyn. But I hated Clinton. How you gonna get listen, that dude was nerdy. And all of it, like, yo, like, why you gonna give him my name?
It was real life. It was real life. It was real life.
Out of all the Clintons, like, there's not many Clintons in the world, man. They gonna give him this dude that looked like that, this geeky little kid. Clinton. I'm like, whatever. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm saying, like, even watching like movies like Dead Presidents, the Frankie Lyman joint, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, like when we would watch them movies. And certain scenes would come and you would hear the background music, or you would see in the movie, in the scene, how they would, like the Malcolm X scene. We all know Malcolm X scene. He's walking to his death and they start playing A Change Is Gonna Come. Like,
my gosh.
When you see that in movies, like that's an experience. I believe that's an experience that you take in. And, it's just like stuff like that. Like, especially being around my siblings and stuff like that. Like, that was probably the hardest moments for music for me. Definitely.
Jay, give us another one real quick, please.
I'm born and raised in Bronx, New York, but my mom and my grandmother are from Hemingway, South Carolina. And I don't know if you've ever driven from New York to South Carolina, but that is a very, very, very long drive. And it used to be the 3 of us in my mom's 1996 Honda Civic driving down. Listen, but hey, it got us there. We drove around and it got us back.
Get you there.
It's still good cars though.
It's a very good car, but like the music that they used to play, like, and then when we would be driving back, I could just remember listening to, I can't remember who sings it, but that "Wishing on a Star" song.
Oh, I remember that joint.
And then who's wishing on a star?
I forgot who sung it too, but that's the joint.
That song.
I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, that song. Minnie Riperton. Anita Baker, Gladys Knight, Rolls Royce. Is that what it was? That's Rolls Royce, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead, Walt.
Beat me to it.
Shalimar, and then Gladys, and then because it was my mom and my grandmother, it was kind of like a fusion of like both of their eras, and then it kind of like I used to be sitting in the back, and I was a child. Child is seen and not heard, so I couldn't have an opinion about what we were playing. But because we did it one time every summer, like I just feel like subconsciously those songs kind of sat with me and still sit with me to this very day. That's like my song. Yeah, like it was literally. So those are things that I hold near and dear to my heart.
Gotcha. Now fast forward because we talked about in that discussion behind the scenes, we talked about the experience of music, like back in the day when we used to unwrap the vinyl or unwrap the CD, read the credits, versus streaming music where streaming music, you don't really get that opportunity to purchase the art, because the album cover and itself is art. It's something that you keep. Remember the CD books? I used to have them all lined up, alphabetical order. You cherish these pieces of art because you literally bought a book to put them in. So that way, and in hopes of one day, your favorite artist may be signing this piece of art. You know what I mean? Like that was such a dream, like a moment you wanted to have just because you purchased something that they worked hard as well to put together. But just kind of looking at that, because we were talking about just like that was all tied into like what was missing in music like right now, right? And to Walt's point, Walt was saying how streaming is good because you get a chance to get a lot of art, a lot of music that you probably would never heard. You get to, you can research it all and get it all for, a good price, right? Even though me and Trim do music, we still don't know what streaming is. Like what equates money wise to, the artist, right? But moving the conversation forward, these artists that Jay just talked about, Shalimar and all of them, when I heard those names, I thought about creativity. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. Do you think that they lack? Are the other things lacking creativity? That's what's missing now?
I feel it is. I mean, shout out to whoever's like out there doing any type of creative work or any type of like especially with music like that. I think creativity, it's, in my opinion, I feel it's lacking nowadays as compared to like back then before, because it's not. You try to look for some type of like, let me see who you are, let me get a feel for what it is that you do as far as like music wise. Like, okay, how are you different from anybody else out there? It's just what that's what I try to look for. I mean, it's really hard to try to grab that nowadays.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick, D-Lo. So because what you're saying is that everybody sounds the same.
It does. Like, they're either gonna sample something, or they're gonna either redo something, and I'm trying to look for like
originality.
Yeah, what's your originality? What is your song? Like, you put something on and they instantly know, oh, that's this person, that's that person. What is your signature song?
Whoa. What do you have to say about that, bro?
All right, so I do think that like every era of music, like from like the 60s, basically, I'm just talking, this the courtroom, so I'm gonna just keep it real.
No tap dancing in the courtroom, you know that, bro. No tap dancing.
Yeah.
So like when Black music became mainstream, I feel that was basically like when we was on our way up was in the 60s. So we kind of started from like that, it was like blues and like jazz and stuff, but then it became, the whole bubblegum pop with the Motown thing. Then it became funk and soul with James Brown and them, and then it became this new thing with 80s and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston and DeBarge and Shalimar and all of them. And then in the 90s, it's kind of a split. You got like 90s R&B, but then you have hip hop. Hip hop becomes mainstream. Hip hop starts becoming mainstream, and now hip hop has become the center focus now. So the songs that we all grew up on, because we all listened to that older stuff, and that it was a different kind of music. Like when James Brown came out with funk was something different. What James Brown was doing with his music, yes, that was something different.
And it was different because they really wasn't reading sheet music or anything like that. They was actually just doing what they feel.
He found the flyest, the baddest players. I want the baddest bass player, guitar player, drummer. Let me get all of them. I know how to compose. Let's make some new stuff. Right. And that's what he was doing. And I'm saying, like, before that, like, Cass was doing that too, but he just took it to another level. And then the same thing with like Michael Jackson, Prince. Like, even though both of these dudes was doing their main joints like in the 80s, like and it was both very like,
it was real different. It was
very different sounds that they both had, but they were both known as the two dudes who was basically running the 80s as far as like the music that was coming out.
Right.
But it was like, you could tell, like, obviously they got a little from James Brown, but they definitely made something of their own. In the 90s, like New Jack Swing came in. And then with New Jack Swing, you had rap, and then you had West Coast rap.
So what you're saying is that they were pushing The culture is being pushed forward.
I'm saying it's not even 10 years ago. It's been Southern rap in a sense, like that's what's been taken over. But as far as like specific artists that has been coming out, like we were talking about this on an older episode, but in the sense of like what Kendrick is doing, like I said, like Kendrick Lamar is an artist that I for real think is making new kind of music. Right. That is making like their own kind of music in the sense of like, he from the West Coast. Some of his earlier projects have a lot of West Coast inspiration, but the way he raps and what he does with his flow and everything, it's the same thing. Like it's a different kind of music. It may not be that many artists that's doing it, but and I do. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to ask you, but do you agree with what Trim is saying about it not being like? Because
it's not like. I do feel like there's definitely a lacking in the sense of like there's not that many artists being themselves. I definitely believe that. I definitely believe there's a lot of mainstream artists are looking at, all right, what's hot, that works, all right, I can do it.
It's because you have to find out, like you have to follow, and I hate it, but you have to follow like what's trending. Like you have to see what everybody's doing, and whenever someone comes that does something different, it's not, people don't take a liking to it very quickly. So as quickly, like we're like a lot of people, it's like mindless monkeys. Like we just, whatever's trending or what everybody else is doing, we just fall right into it. Like there's not that much diversity, and there's not any, like it's not many people that are doing anything different or original. So you have to follow what's trending because you have to become marketable. As soon as you sit down with a record label, it's okay, how can we make you marketable? Yes, you can rap, but how can we make more money off of you than just rapping? So,
gotcha.
Right.
Let me ask y'all this. So, trending, right? We talk about that word. What exactly is trending music, right? So, what I mean by that is, it's popular, right?
Yeah.
But who decides what trends and what doesn't trend?
I think it's all depending on some kind of numbers. If whatever numbers you generate, that has streaming platforms who control who has access to whatever music it is, and that controls like record labels. That's what they pay attention to, is how many numbers you have generated.
But who makes numbers?
And that's a good question. Who does? Who knows?
I believe that to an extent. I believe it's whatever black people are bumping at the end of the day.
I think it can be manipulated.
Like I'm saying, that of course they manipulate like what we listen to, like what they put out there. But I'm saying like we are always the blueprint as far as like what's cool and what's not cool. As far as like what's gonna. Like, let's keep it a buck. The hottest music has been black music for the past like 70 years. Right. So when it comes to, like, ever since Motown and them like for real became mainstream, I don't care what nobody said. That's been like the hot music, and it's just gone up and gone up and gone up. Of course, now people are looking at it and like, all right, we want to talk about violence, sex, and drugs, and we're going to take that because that's just what the people want to hear, apparently, and we're going to take that and make that the mainstream. But I do think that there is definitely like a disconnect in the sense of like we're not being creative in as far as like coming up with something new now. As far as like what is our own voice, what is this generation's voice? I believe. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, my bad, Walt, man. I just think that like whatever our voice is or whatever, I think that we are not given that option to really decide what our voice is or what it is we want to hear. I think it's been digitally programmed to us and handed to us like, here, this is what your voice is. This is what you're going to listen to. It's like how artists like Public Enemy and them were able to come up. I don't think there ever be a chance for any artist like that to come up to have a voice to actually make a change. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. You know, I want to cut this. We're gonna come back, and the next episode we're gonna talk about just go a little deeper into that, because there is, I think what we're going into now is, you know, where we have vinyl, right? Before, we're talking about like 60s, 70s, we were able to purchase it, right? We were able to, you know, own it, right? Now, same thing with CDs, cassette tapes. We purchased it, we owned it, which means we controlled it. We controlled how many records or how many albums a person who was an artist that you liked and supported, how many they sold. Now we're getting into the era of streaming. But the question is, what do we control in this era of streaming? What does the purchaser control? And are we controlling what we're listening to? Stay tuned. We'll be back.